Hey everyone, it's Sam with Wrestling Overtime, bringing you your Raves and Rants review of WWE Monday Night Raw on April 27th, 2020. And we got a little bit of a surprise tonight as soon as it opened. We've got Samoa Joe back. He's on commentary with Byron Saxton and Tom Phillips, but however, he is at least back from his wellness policy violation, and I'm not sure, haven't really heard. I don't think that he is medically cleared to wrestle from his concussion issues that he has been having. I haven't heard where they've actually cleared him. So I'm assuming that's the reason why they brought him in on commentary. It was a good surprise, I thought. He brings a little bit of wrestling knowledge and psychology to Tom and Byron's just play-by-play action that they normally do. Now, we started out tonight with MVP's VIP Lounge. Now, I'm going to be real honest with you. I don't understand really what MVP's role is. I didn't when they signed him. We've seen him, I guess since February, be in the lounge type role that I just feel others do way better, like The Miz. But we've seen him wrestle. We've seen him get thrown around by Edge. We've seen him offer to manage, advise, be a business person to Drew McIntyre. I'm not real sure exactly what he was brought back to do. And I'll just be real honest with you, when Black Wednesday happened, I'm actually shocked that Vince didn't let him go. So I'm thinking Paul Heyman went to bat for him, and that Paul Heyman, I guess, has a vision for him. Not real sure what that vision is. But however, let's get back to the lounge. They bring out Rey Mysterio, Apollo Crews, and Aleister Black. Seeing them sitting there, I'm thinking to myself, man, that's a really strange combination. What is MVP going to do with this? Now, he acts like a pain in the butt, basically, to Rey Mysterio. And with him being a nice guy, he kind of took it. But he acts the same way to Aleister Black, which I guess shocked me a little bit, that Aleister Black didn't give him the black mass right then and there. And then since he has picked Apollo Crews to win Money in the Bank, he kind of shows him a little bit of favoritism, hands him the mic, but it doesn't really matter because they get interrupted fairly quickly when Andrade, Angel Garza, Austin Theory, and then of course Zelina Vega, the mastermind, walks out, and she starts talking about how none of the three really deserve to be in Money in the Bank. Now, I have to step away from, being in the wrestling bubble and kind of have a chuckle since she says that about her own husband, Aleister Black. But, quickly I go back in the bubble because her three in her faction quickly kind of attack Mysterio, Black, and Crews, which of course sets up a six-man tag. You guys know from previous episodes, I hate six-man tags. And when it was starting, all I could think was, where did MVP go? I was kind of shocked. He basically disappeared during that brawl. And I thought that maybe he would at least be hanging out on the side of the ring like Vega was. But no, I think he jumped the barricade and took off because we never see him. I thought he would at least go to the commentary table and maybe commentate on this match or something. But I guess the lounge is over. But this match, I really don't understand. At least most six-man tags, it's because there's a program, some kind of program going on, and they're mixing people up. Well, there's not. None of the three, whether it be Mysterio, Black, or Cruz, is fighting with any of Vega's, minions. So, I'm not getting this. The stipulation of the tag wasn't if they won, then they got to take their places in Money in the Bank. Nothing. This match, if you count the lounge, the intros, them coming out, them getting into a brawl, them going to 2 commercials, them, finally having an ending. This thing lasted like 35 minutes. This was a total waste. And this is what I'm talking about, WWE. If you guys are listening, or if you're not, at least I have it on record where I am telling you this is the garbage that gives you 1.8 ratings. This is the garbage that's giving you 1.6 ratings. No one is understanding this. You gave us no reason to have this six-man match that is garbage. This wasn't even a good match. Cruz, Mysterio, and Black win. Yes, because, Apollo does a Blue Thunder driver on Andrade, pinning him. But you tell me what they have in common. What does Cruz, Black, and Mysterio have in common? Zero. Nada. Nothing. Why are they a team? Because they're in the same match in 2 weeks? WWE, you've got to give me a better reason than that. This is garbage. I can't even believe Paul Heyman is behind this. Just awful. Well, we find out as they're going to the commercial after this match finally ends, and like I said, it's now, 8:30, 8:35, and we see that they're continuing Triple H Mania. I thought we had that on Friday night. I thought we had the celebration of the 25th anniversary of Triple H. But they decided tonight they're going to show us his top 10 moments. That's cool. Triple H deserves it. I don't want anybody thinking that I hate Triple H. I don't. I really like him. I definitely respect him. I definitely respect even more what he's done in NXT. No, I just don't understand, and there wasn't an explanation why we're doing this. What are we doing? So, number 10 was the formation of DX. We got to see him, it was actually him in the ring talking about the formation of D-Generation X. China was behind him, and he was calling out, the members. With Shawn Michaels, we got to see Billy Gunn. We got to see them come out and it actually get formed. Then they have, their set of, 3 4-minute long commercials. And then we come back, we get number 9, which was Sting finally versus Triple H in 2015. Now, granted, that match I wish would have been held, 10 years previous when they were both in the prime of their career. But it was still a nice moment to relive as far as, DX coming out, NWO coming out, Sting getting his baseball bat, Triple H getting the sledgehammer. I enjoyed that. I would have rather them shown both of those moments in full than show me this MVP garbage and a 6-man tag match. Just awful. But anyway, after we see, the little number 9 segment, we see Vega and Andrade, and they're shouting and yelling, and we see Charlie kind of walk up, and Andrade saying, "What happened? What happened?" And Vega blames it on his amigos. And he says, "My amigos, my friends, my partners." And so she's basically saying, hey, this was because of your tag team partners. And I'm thinking, whoa, wait a minute there, Vega. I know you don't want to deal with Andrade mad, but he is the one that got pinned. And where is his partners anyway? But, they decide basically to take it elsewhere. And Apollo Crews comes up and says, I overheard that. He's definitely a sore loser. And he kind of makes some comments. Well, we see Andrade come back and, kind of question him, and Apollo slaps him and tells him, I'll challenge you for your title. And Andrade says, you want my title? And Vega basically says, done. We'll do it tonight. And I'm like, okay, maybe there was a little bit of a reason, but I think we could have gotten there in a different way. We then get a video package. Now, basically, I'm going to tell you guys. Tonight's Raw is about having commercials, having a lot of Triple H moments, and showing a lot, and when I say a lot, I do mean a lot, of flashback segments to Drew McIntyre and Seth Rollins. From them last week, from, Seth curb stopping him, to Drew, challenging him. We're going to see different variations of that. And so this is basically a whole video package reliving that. And then we get number 8 for Triple H. And it was against The Rock. And I'm sure we all remember this match because Shawn Michaels was the referee. And we all knew there was going to be some kind of shenanigans, but we really hoped that The Rock would somehow be able to pull it out. But of course, we see Shawn Michaels super kick The Rock, and Triple H gets the win. And then we had another commercial, and then another part of Triple H's greatest moments, number 7. And I had forgotten about this one. And when I saw it, as soon as it come on, it jogged my memory, and I was like, I love this. This is awesome. But had you asked me before I saw this, what was his 10 greatest moments or something, I would have forgotten about this one. But it was Trish Stratus being taught by Triple H different wrestling moves in the background, and he basically tells he's behind Trish and tells Trish to reach through her legs, grab his leg, and pull so that he will fall backwards, and he thinks this would be a great move for her to use on the women's division. And of course he tells her to get ready to try it. Well, as Trish, of course, bends over in front of him, Stephanie McMahon walks in and has her typical Princess Stephanie at that time temper tantrum, throwing plants, yelling, screaming, crying. It was just unbelievable. And it brought back a lot of memories of WWE actually telling stories and not caring to have vignettes backstage and have the characters interact other places, whether it be in a locker room, it be, in a conference room, it be at the hotel, it be outside in the parking lot, wherever it needed to be. We were shown that the wrestlers weren't always in the ring. And I think they really, with the pandemic, need to go back to that. That's the memory it jogged, is the stories they told. I don't want them to go back to the Attitude Era. That's not an era that I long for or anything like that. I actually want to see a new era. But I want them to take aspects of, the 80s, the 90s, the 2000s, build upon it, and create a new era. But one thing that most of those eras had were the stories that we remember. That's what I'm talking about. This moment was because of a story, a storyline. It never even happened in the ring. So then it's the 9 o'clock hour. You're like, what? Weren't you just talking about the show start? Yes, I was just talking about it. But it's the 9 o'clock hour now. And they show Nia Jax's match, which I cannot believe, from last week. They show the highlights of her botching and trying to do a buckle bomb against Kairi Sane and basically not getting close enough to throw her, or throwing her wrong. I'm not really sure exactly what happened, but Kairi Sane lands really weird, and that's part of the highlights. I was like, ooh, somebody is awful on this. But anyway, that leads us to Asuka coming out, and we're going to have a triple threat match. And again, why? We had a 6-man tag. Now we're going to have a triple threat match with the 3 women from Raw that are in Money in the Bank. For no reason. They don't get anything for winning. And they're not in a battle. None of them has a title that any of them want. None of them have a rivalry that they can call on. Shayna Baszler is new. There's nothing going on. But Asuka comes out and talks about, basically in Japanese and English, that she's not afraid of Nia Jax. And talks about how it's been 2 years since they've even taken each other on. And I was like, well, that's a great way of, explaining this. We see Nia Jax come out, and then, of course, we see Shayna Baszler. She comes down to the ring, and a little weird, Asuka, who's usually way smarter, is looking at Nia across the ring as Shayna Baszler goes to walk up the steps, and instead basically just takes Asuka's legs out from underneath her and attacks her. Then Nia kind of gets involved. They're all outside the ring. Shayna ends up setting up a ladder against the ring steps. And it's not that it's leaning against the ring steps. It's not that it's out across the ring steps. No, it is laying on its side against the ring steps. I don't understand. But anyway, she tries to throw Asuka in it, and Asuka reverses it, throwing Shayna Baszler in it. And then, Nia basically beats Asuka, throws her into the ring, then picks up Shayna, throws her into the ring, picks up the ladder, throws it into the ring. She gets up in the ring and hits Asuka and Shayna with the ladder and knocks them out of the ring. And then her music hits. They show Asuka and Shayna Baszler laying up against the barricade, looking at Nia, and the lights change and her graphics are playing behind her. And I don't think anyone really knows what to say or do. The bell never rang. The referee never got involved. I don't even know if there was a referee out there. The match wasn't called. No one was pinned. No one was deemed that they couldn't get up. A triple threat match, you're supposed to be pinned or submitted actually in the ring. There's no disqualification. So just because Nia Jax hits them with a ladder and knocks them out of the ring, why is her music playing? And I thought, well, they're gonna get this back together and get it situated and we're gonna have a match. No. What I described to you, that was whatever you want to call it, but it wasn't a match. And when they come back to Byron and Tom and Samoa Joe, it's not mentioned. It's really weird. And I have no clue what happened, and I don't know if WWE does. But anyway, we see Bobby Lashley and Lana backstage. Lana is a little shocking. She is not her bleach blonde self. She has brown hair now. And Bobby Lashley is scared of her and basically says, you don't have to go out here with me to my match. You kind of distract me. Well, we can see that Lana's getting ready to be crazy, evil, screeching Lana. That's who I want. I want to see that over Bobby Lashley, who is boring. But instead, he says very quickly, you distract me because you're so beautiful. I turn around, I see you, you're so beautiful, I lose track of what I'm supposed to be doing. So I was thinking maybe you need to stay back here. Well, she agrees. So he goes out to take Denzel DeJordanette on, and this match was basically just to show off Bobby Lashley's power, and I guess to tell the story that he's trying to exert some kind of control over Lana. But he hits a spear and then pins Denzel. Denzel got a little bit of offense, but the spear against a guy of Denzel's size did not look good. I agree when Bobby Lashley hits someone like Chad Gable. Yes, it looks unbelievably awesome. But Denzel is as tall probably as Bobby Lashley. Not quite as wide, but is as tall and does have some muscle. So when Bobby Lashley speared him, it did not look awesome. It didn't even look like it should have taken him down. I don't know that it was even a good football tackle. It looked bad. So I was shocked on that. And then we get a flashback to last Monday of Liv Morgan and Ruby Riott. And I'm like, okay, why are we putting this flashback in here? Well, we're gonna do it again. And I'm thinking, why? We've had a 6-man tag. We've had a triple threat get together of the women who didn't have an ending. We've had Bobby Lashley not look good. And now we're going to have Liv Morgan and Ruby Riott again. Now, instead of showing that flashback, show the flashback. I don't care. Have a vignette where Ruby Riott accosted her in the parking lot, got her at the hotel, took her rental car. I don't care. But show me a reason why we're having this match again. Show me Ruby Riott going and having a temper tantrum on Paul Heyman. Show me her having a temper tantrum on Vince, on Triple H. Even the camera crew. I don't care. She can have a temper tantrum on Charlie. But show me why we are having this match again. You can't. You know why? Because you don't know. You have no idea why we're having this match again, other than we need to fill some time. And they're around, and we might as well. Really? Because Ruby Riott and Liv Morgan are really what brings your ratings in. And who people really care about. Is that what you're telling me? I'm sorry. This wasn't a good match. Ruby Riott basically had the offense the whole entire way. She does a Riott kick, and Liv Morgan kicks out. When she does that, it shocks Ruby Riott, and it kind of turns the tide. Great. That's good storytelling, but it doesn't necessarily mean it's a good match. I can show these two women to any wrestling fan of the last 30 years and say, who's going to win this match? And if they know nothing about either of these two women, because they're not superstars, everybody doesn't know them. If I showed them to the typical AEW fan, they don't know them, and they don't care. But if I said, look at these two women, tell me who Vince McMahon is going to push, tell me who's going to win this match. Every wrestling fan that has ever watched the WWE, even though they don't know these two women, is going to pick Liv Morgan. She's blonde hair. She's skinny. She looks a little athletic. That's what Vince McMahon loves. You look at Ruby Riott, who is completely tattooed, is, punk, who has her hair dyed, whose makeup is off. They're going to take one look at her and be like, she's an indie wrestler that Vince isn't even going to pay. It doesn't matter that she has more wrestling background. Doesn't matter if she has an MMA background. Doesn't matter that she has boxing in her background. Doesn't matter that she probably in a real fight could whoop all of our butts. That doesn't matter. She has not been given a backstory. She's not a superstar, and she's not what Vince McMahon wants. So we're going to get pushed Liv Morgan. And I'm not saying whether that's right or wrong. I'm saying we live in Vince McMahon's world, and this is how it is. So what we get to see is Liv doing what she calls the Oblivion, which is, a reverse STO for the pin on Ruby Riott. And then somehow Ruby Riott kind of disappears, and Byron Saxton appears in the ring to interview her, and Liv Morgan says, kind of like a lot of people my age, I'm just kind of trying to figure out who I am, and I'm confident that I'll figure it out. What? Where did that come from? I don't understand. And maybe all of you are wanting to write me at wrestlingovertime@gmail.com and say, Sam, it doesn't matter whether you understand or not. Well, maybe it doesn't. Because I'm telling you, 6 months ago, Liv Morgan was a bleached white blonde in ponytails, pigtails, and was this cutesy over made up doll. In January, she comes out, interrupts Lashley and Lana's wedding, and says that she's in love with Lana and is her secret lover. They drop that. She gets thrown into a match where Baszler picks her up by her legs and slams her head into the elimination chamber. Ruby Riott comes back and says, I'm your leader, you're going to do what I say. And now she is a Gen Wire that doesn't know who she is because she's in her 20s, but is confident she's going to figure it out. That's her gimmick change, I would say, in the last 8 months. Are you serious? She went from being a femme fatale, breaking up a marriage, being Lana's secret lover, to 4 months later, she's a 20-something that doesn't know who she is? Come on, somebody. Give her a gimmick, give her a character, and let's stick with it. Come on. Well, we then, of course, get to go to commercial, which, you know what that means. When we get back from commercial, we get to see number 6 on Triple H, which is the 1997 King of the Ring. And it's the one where he goes against Mankind. And when they come back, they actually go to Samoa Joe, Tom, and Byron, and Samoa Joe says, I think this 97 King of the Ring is the turning point of Triple H's career. This is where he basically comes into his own and goes from being Hunter Hearst Helmsley, the entitled rich boy, to being Triple H, where he goes and becomes the Game. He is the cerebral assassin. He actually turns into the character we all know and love. And then we see Charlie go up to Nia Jax. And really weird promo. Nia Jax starts talking about how no one can stop her. She says, what are you going to do about me? Charlie, nothing. What's Shayna Baszler going to do against me? Nothing, And so she starts naming everybody and basically says nobody's going to stop her. Okay. You're the irresistible force. That is supposed to be your motto. You repeated that in a lot more words. Okay, you're wasting time. Go on. We then immediately go to a garbage Viking Raiders promo. And I'm like, oh, they're not showing you guys in a car singing? You're actually going to be Vikings now? So they say those who fail to learn from history are doomed to repeat it. And I'm like, oh, okay. And so then they start talking about the Street Profits and how they beat them in NXT and how the Street Profits, they ended up, having to give up their titles and the Street Profits got them. And then how, this time they were injured and so they lost their belts and the Street Profits ended up with them and how they're going to take their titles back from the Street Profits. And then out of character, or what I would assume to be out of character, kind of like them driving in a car and doing karaoke. But anyway, they do the Street Profits tagline of "We want the smoke." Do Vikings want smoke? Do Viking Raiders want smoke? Didn't make any sense. It just didn't make any sense. So we had 2 promos and, well, it's time for commercial. So commercial means more Triple H. So we get number 5 now. And this, again, wasn't a match. This was a moment. And I'm not sure that this moment will not raise higher up the list in 10 years. This was the moment from last year where NXT started taking over Raw and SmackDown and proving that they were the third brand. And it's where they ended up, after doing this and becoming part of SummerSlam, that they got their own show on the USA Network. But it basically is just a flashbacks of different NXT stars, like Adam Cole, coming in and invading SmackDown and kicking somebody's butt, or Shayna showing up on Raw and kicking somebody's butt. It was just NXT taking over. Then we get Akira Tozawa, who has been losing some matches but has been looking good, and they have been building him up a little bit, and they have him taking on Jinder Mahal. Now, of course, they're selling Jinder Mahal like you've never heard before. They're talking about him being the world champion for 6 months and how wonderful he is. He takes off his turban and has a crew cut, and I love it. I'm like, you look meaner. He is in shape just like he was last time. He's roided up, and I was really shocked. I knew they were going to make him look good, but did not know that they were going to make him look unreal. They made Jinder Mahal look like a monster against Tozawa, and like I said, they've been kind of building Tozawa up. Well, they destroyed him. And so, in most fans' mind, if you show Tozawa next week, they're just going to say jobber. Jinder made him look that bad. They didn't let him get hardly any offense, and he just ran over him. And okay, Jinder's back. I don't like Jinder. I'm going to go ahead and tell you guys, since he hasn't been on the show, since I started doing this podcast, I can't stand Jinder. They're going to have to change his gimmick and his character to get me to like him. So you're going to hear me throw a fit about him all the time. He is, though, a typical heel. And for that, I do respect him. But I don't like how he wrestles, and I don't like his character. So, and it looks like he's coming back basically with the same Against America character. So you'll hear me gripe about him probably in the future. Then we see Charlie backstage running around. She's trying to interview Andrade and says, I just have a quick question. And Vegas says no. There's not going to be any more quick questions. There's not going to be any more interviews. You're going to go through me from now on. And just basically shuts Charlie down, and they walk away. Well, we see Garza come, and he gives Charlie a rose and, of course, flirts with her and asks if maybe they can become better acquainted sometime. And Charlie acts her normal, embarrassed self and is like, yeah, sure. And we go to commercial, which means more Triple H. We see number 4. We see Triple H dressed as Vince McMahon, saying a lot of Vince McMahon sayings. And then we hear Shane's music hit, and out comes Shawn Michaels dressed as Shane, doing Shane's dance. And he comes out to the ring, and Triple H as Vince fires him. Again, not a match, a moment, a storyline. This is when Triple H and Shawn Michaels were doing whatever they wanted to anyone they wanted. And Vince hated it, but he had to put up with it. And it was a storyline we remember. And that's what I'm saying. By them doing this, by doing the top 10 Triple H moments, they made everybody realize exactly what is wrong with WWE. But they come back, and we get Andrade versus Apollo Crews for the United States Championship. For those of you who didn't DVR this or didn't see it, you need to go to WWE.com. You need to go to YouTube, the WWE channel. You need to see this match. This was actually a pretty good match. They let Apollo get a lot of offense. Now, it was the typical good match as far as every once in a while Andrade would turn the corner, but Apollo always got offense again. The commentators, especially Samoa Joe, were selling that Apollo may actually win this. We're seeing something special. And then we see what I almost think was a botch. I'm gonna go back and look at it after I do this episode, because I watched it about 3 times and couldn't tell. I don't have a wrestling background. I want to look up some articles and see if anybody else noticed it. But Apollo is in the corner and Andrade runs at him and is going to do the running knee. Going to jump and hit Apollo basically with his knee. Apollo moves. And that part I know was choreographed. Everybody knew about it. The part that I'm wondering was screwed up is Andrade hits the cushion, the buckle of the ring post with his knee. I'm actually thinking that he was supposed to land and Apollo was going to do something. Instead, his knee hits and you can kind of see he loses his balance and his leg goes over the ring rope and it actually looks like he tries to catch himself, but he ends up going over the ring rope with his body, and the way he falls is what makes me think it was the botched part. He did not fall correctly. He ends up kind of in a crumpled mess, and he does at one point grab near his head, and I'm thinking, man, Andrade, I think, hurt himself. And he gets up, and Apollo ends up doing a backflip off the apron and hurts his knee as he lands. And I think he was a work. It was definitely part of the story. But the move that Andrade did before, that's where you need to be watching. I think he landed wrong or he botched something right in there. However, they continue the match, and this match goes for a good 15 minutes. Back and forth, and Apollo selling the knee, and Andrade doing things to his knee, and everything. The referee actually ends up stopping this match due to Apollo's knee and Apollo not being able to get up. That, to me, was perfect. Andrade didn't get disqualified. He didn't submit Apollo. He didn't pin Apollo. So Apollo can come back and say, you didn't beat me. The referee stopped it because of his knee. And so I like that. I like that they come up with a different kind of ending to that. So then we end up going to commercials, and we get Triple H. We get the February 2003 introduction of Evolution. And I'm going to be honest with you, I think a lot of people discount Evolution. I think Evolution could have been one of the bigger factions and one of the better factions of WWE had it been able to stay together and them create good storylines and everything. It had Ric Flair kind of being the elder statesman, Batista and Triple H being the now, the it. Now, I understand that there was dissension there and a power struggle and all that, but then you had the young and up-and-coming Randy Orton. I mean, he's been in WWE a year at this point and is on his way to start winning titles. So I loved this faction, and was kind of disappointed, when it kind of wore out. But yeah, I really liked this moment too. And like I said, it was number 3. And then we go from that to the Street Profits. And like I said, the Street Profits are great talkers. They're great on a promo. So them talking about these 2 costume playing fools eating turkey legs, I like that. I'm like, give it to them. And they talk about how, they're free. Dawkins says, I'm free next week, and, Montel says, I'm free next week, and they say, yeah, we'll take on the Viking Raiders next week. Well, that was a good, short, them talking, making fun, and joking around, boom, tag team, it was a good promo, and it's fine. Then we get a tag team match. We get Ricochet and Cedric Alexander versus Everrise. Finally, I guess we've made up our minds. These 2 are going to be a tag team because they come out together. They're dressed similar. They've got a lot more tag moves. They are still showing that they are extremely quick, extremely athletic. They're showing a lot of high-flying moves, but they're tagging in and out real quick. They're doing moves together. This match was really a squash match, basically. And I like their new, I guess it's their new finisher. I don't know what else to call it. Cedric is holding them like he was getting ready to do a DDT, and Ricochet jumps off and hits them in the back, lower back area, and Cedric then does the DDT. Great finishing maneuver. And I don't really like these 2 together as a tag team. I wish they would continue being singles wrestlers. But if you're going to put them together as a tag team, at least they're accepting it. And I'm going to accept them. And, maybe when they put the 3 New Day guys together, maybe people will holler and know they'd be better as singles players. And look at what New Day has done. So I'm going to give this a chance. I'm going to give Ricochet and Cedric Alexander a chance. We'll see what they can do. But MVP shows up on the Titantron, and he's got Brendan Vick and Shane Thorne with him. And I'm like, what? And he challenges Ricochet and Cedric Alexander to a match next week against Brendan Vick and Shane Thorne. And Ricochet looks at Cedric Alexander and they're just like, yeah, okay. You know why they say, okay? Because they're thinking, what are these 2 NXT jobbers who can't win a match in NXT doing with MVP, and why are they challenging us to a match? Because last time I looked, Ricochet and Cedric Alexander don't have the tag team titles. Why are you challenging them? And I'm sure that's what was going through their head. Is like, we have no rankings here in WWE. What are you challenging us for? We're not going to help you move up and get closer to the Street Profits. We're not the Street Profits. But whatever. So then we get to go to a commercial, which then is number 2. It is April 1998, and it is the famous tank ride. The invasion of WCW that we have all seen and remember, the start of the Monday Night Wars, where WWE decides to take it to WCW. Again, a storyline. We come back. They show Apollo Crews barely getting around on crutches. He's got ice wrapped around his knee. And it appears that Crews is crying. And Charlie asks him, what's going on. Asks for an update or whatever. And Crews can't answer her. He doesn't say a word and just kind of hobbles off. So then it's time for our main event. Oh yeah, our main event is what we've been seeing flashbacks and promos to, which is the WWE Championship contract signing. We get Jerry Lawler there, and he kind of explains to us what the Money in the Bank match is going to be. Well, we've already heard that about 4 times, Jerry. You don't need to explain to us that it's going to be at corporate headquarters and they're going to have to race from the bottom of the building to the top, blah, blah, blah. Well, then he finally gets to, but we're going to have another match and it's going to be Drew versus Seth. Okay, let's go. So we see Seth Rollins walk out. He is in a suit with his black glove on his right hand and his hair pulled back and looking professional, I guess is a word for it. And then, of course, we see Drew come out wearing his black jeans, skin-tight black shirt with his black jacket on. And he looks at Jerry Lawler and says, you know how these contract signings usually go. And this one is going to go that way. So you might want to go ahead and leave. And Jerry's like, yeah, I think I will. So, of course, we get both of them talking into the mic. Basically, Seth is saying that the title is a burden, that he knows that Drew is not a leader and should not be the one to carry that burden, to lead the WWE universe, all of the superstars, the locker room, whatever. He's not the person that needs to be leading Raw at this time. And that he, however, being the Messiah, is willing to make that sacrifice and carry the title for the good of the company and of the superstars, and that this is something that he has to do. Drew comes back at him and says, where are your followers? I don't see any. The audience was turning on you before this pandemic. They have continued to turn on you. You basically need to shut your mouth. Anytime you are on social media, all you do is make people mad, or you say something embarrassing. He's using real life stuff. And then he ends with, you need to finish the job this time. Because last time when you curb stomped me twice in the head, you didn't finish the job, because here I stand. So in the Money in the Bank match, if you want the title, then you need to finish the job. They both sign the contract, and Seth goes to say some additional things to Drew, and basically Drew's just had it and slams Seth's head into the table, and then picks up the table and the 2 chairs, throws them out of the ring. Seth comes near him, and Drew hits him with what they call a Glasgow kiss, which is basically a headbutt. Of course, Seth is selling this big time, holding his nose, the bridge of his nose, his forehead, and Drew is counting down, getting ready to claymore him, as Buddy Murphy appears from behind Drew and saves, Seth. Seth has his back to Murphy, and when Murphy grabs him to hug him, Seth actually thinks it might be Drew and is unaware that Buddy Murphy has actually saved him. So we see them hug, and as they're hugging, McIntyre goes to hit Seth with the claymore, and Murphy shoves Seth out of the way and takes it. And Seth rolls out of the ring and heads up the ramp in his suit as basically Drew is holding the contract and is just, kind of pointing at it and laughing and interesting into the show. Thought it was a good end to the show. But I don't know whether I thought it was a good end to the show because the show sucked so bad, or because it was actually a good end to the show. Because when you look at it overall, we got a bunch of matches that don't mean anything. We didn't really learn anything other than Apollo Crews got hurt. We had a match that didn't even have an ending, or a start, or a middle, or I don't even know what that triple threat women's thing was. Just weird. So I don't know where WWE Raw goes. The 10 o'clock hour had a rating of a 1.6. The average for this week's show was 1.8. They can't blame it on anything. There was no Monday Night Football. There wasn't anything exciting on TV. There is always Netflix. There is always Disney Plus. People aren't going anywhere. Actually, people are looking for things because they're bored out of their minds because they can't do anything. So for Monday Night Raw to achieve its lowest rating of 2,000 is ridiculous. Especially when we've got The Last Dance, the Michael Jordan documentary on ESPN, doing all-time highs. We've got the NFL draft, and they were literally showing people at home. We actually watched the NFL draft with Roger Goodell in his basement. And, 8, 10, 12 million people are watching. WWE can't get better than 1.8 million people to watch? Are you serious? That's crazy. WWE has to wake up. They're not telling good stories, and they're not putting on good matches. And that's sad. That's really sad. If you guys have any theories out there of what can be done better, what can be done differently, or do you like this? Maybe you're one of the 1.8 million that absolutely love this. I don't know. I want you guys to write me and tell me. Hit me up on Twitter or our Facebook page, at Wrestling Overtime, or write me at wrestlingovertime@gmail.com. Tell me what you're thinking, because I don't know what to think anymore. I can't believe it has gotten this bad. Just totally unbelievable. Um, I just don't understand. But anyway, I'm going to let you guys go. Thank you for listening. I really do appreciate it. Make sure that you subscribe to this podcast, because we are going to be doing a lot of different episodes. We're going to be recapping and giving you guys the results of Impact Rebellion Night 2. We're going to be talking about NXT and AEW this Wednesday. We're going to be talking, obviously, about WWE SmackDown. I do believe we're going to do an episode about where we think Tessa Blanchard is going to be going. So we've got a lot of things coming up. So make sure that you guys subscribe. Make sure that you guys rate and review on Podchaser. I know a lot of you listen to this on Apple Podcasts, but not everybody does. And if you rate and review in Apple Podcasts, other people can't see it. If you rate and review in Podchaser, then everyone can see it. So I'd appreciate it if you guys would do that. And I look forward to talking to you guys soon.